All right, well, good evening everybody and welcome. My name is Andrea Burns and it is my absolute delight to welcome you along tonight to this Perth College Community Philosophy Forum. Tonight we are going to be discussing the topic, what is beauty? And it may well be that there are as many answers to that as there are people in this room. It's one of those things that we all define it quite differently, don't we, as we've just seen. But is there any common ground between what we all think, or do we just have to accept that it's all different? Or perhaps might it be better if there isn't any common ground? I don't know. Oh, I'm getting deep already, aren't I? Oh, gosh. That might be part of our conversation tonight. Now, this event came around because here at Perth College we've been very lucky to have Nin Kirkham, the Chair of Philosophy at UWA, who has been our scholar in residence this term, and so we thought, why not make the most of this opportunity of having Nin here. Joining us tonight, we have a couple of panels. On my left, the adults. On my right, the adults of tomorrow, our fabulous girls. And again, I think that you are going to be blown away by just how reflective their views are and how well formed they are. They're certainly a lot more erudite than I ever was when I was their ages. So well done, girls. You've done a great job already. Let me introduce you to the adults. As I said, Dr Nin Kirkham is the Chair of Philosophy at UWA and our current scholar in residence. Our fabulous Reverend Ahuja is Perth College Chaplain. There she is. Nicole Harbison is a passionate art teacher. Wave, Nicole, come on, there we are. Passionate art teacher, a practising artist. She recently completed her Masters of Visual Art. Marijke Loosjes is a visual and performing artist. Come on, there we are. Clare Hackett is our senior school counsellor, beliefs and values teacher. And Phoebe Levin, last but not least, is a 2016 leaver from here at Perth College and a philosophy student. Now, I've been really thrilled, as I said, to read through some of our girls' views on tonight's topics. And to my right are our girls from years 7 to 12. A little later, we will also hear from our littlest girls, some of our junior school kids, but I will save that for later. But first, as they say, in times of old, philosophers would have been thinking about this, working on their definition of beauty for years. Today, we've set our experts a little challenge to describe their version of what is beauty in a tweet, 140 characters or less. Now, my maths isn't very good, but my hearing's not bad. So if I gauge that you're going too long, I've got a bell to move it along. So that will be my not very delicate way of telling you that time's up. I'm going to start with you, Marijke. You've got 140 characters or less. What is it?
I believe beauty transcends a physical appearance and is more of an emotive reaction.
Oh, okay. Nicole?
And I believe that beauty is valuable. So it's about finding, feeling, appreciating and loving one's imperfections.
Oh, one's imperfections. Okay. Nin?
Well, I believe that beauty is the way that we recognise and express what we truly value.
All right. Phoebe?
Yeah, I also kind of think that beauty is a way that we value things in society and how we look at what we personally think is important.
Mm-hmm. Lisa?
Beauty in creation calls forth a response from us and from the psalmist. I will praise you because your creation is wonderful and I know it well.
Beautiful. Clare?
I think beauty is the collective pulse of humanity, the way we are connected with each other here, for example, and it's what we notice in life relationships.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm not going to make the girls condense it down to a tweet, but I am going to work through them because I think some of their comments have been really interesting, and I think that you will also see a few themes coming through here, and they will be very similar, I think, that you will find. Not to say that they're all the same. I want to start, though, with our student panellists. I want to start with one of our seniors, Archie, who's in Year 12, right in the middle there, and our youngest is Anna, who's in Year 7. So Archie, tell me, what do you think? What is beauty for you? You say it's about connection. Explain that for me.
Yeah, beauty for me is genuine connection with other people, because we're in a world where you can't fully know another person, but when there are moments when you truly feel like you do understand another person and they understand you and your bond grows, I think that's really beautiful.
Okay, I'm seeing a few nods from the girls. Yeah. Anna, you say when you look for beauty, what do you look for?
So when I look for beauty, I look for inner beauty because I believe that's the purest form. When I look for beauty, it's like a personality. A personality can change a mood instantly, like an atmosphere. If someone's personality is like humorous, then everybody in the room would laugh and they would all be happy. So, yeah.
Let me ask you, if someone is physically beautiful, but with a cold heart, what would you think of them?
I don't think they're beautiful because I look for inner beauty.
I love it. She's good, isn't she? Yeah? A little clap, I think. I also think that bravery is quite beautiful as well. And when you have a year 7 sitting with all the senior school girls and discussing something pretty clever, I think she's pretty brave too. Yeah? Great. Good on you, Anna. Thank you. I'm going to get you to cast your eye to our very, very big screen. And Marijke has done some extraordinary artwork, and I'm going to ask you to have a look at it, and then I'm going to ask Marijke to just to talk us through it, if you don't mind, Marijke. Can you all see it? Yes? Let's have a look. What are we seeing here?
Okay, so I did a performance piece.
There we
which dealt with 4 stages of grief based on William Wardham's 4 tasks of mourning. So I worked through 4 stages. One was the black veil, which was to accept the reality of the loss. And for this one, I kind of worked with anger. There was a lot of symbolism throughout the whole performance. So the black of traditional Victorian mourning veils. And then there was a second stage, which isn't up there, but that just worked with working through the pain and of grief and loss and just revisiting memories. And then the one with the white veil, that is, let me just check, that's stage 3, which is adjusting to the environment which the deceased is missing. So again, the white veil was to do with grief, to do with sort of depression as well that you might experience with going through that, bandages with healing, blackbirds, very symbolic of death. The last stage, which was the flowers, which was stage 4, was to find an enduring connection with the deceased while embarking on a new life. So I used flowers quite symbolically to smell them, to remember. And then I took the petals off and I put them inside my bodysuit, which was to hold on to the good memories, and the thorned stems were put to the side, which is, again, that sort of pain associated with grief. And it was quite a cathartic performance. It was quite an intimate audience, quite a few people cried, but the response I had was quite heartfelt. There was a lot of connection because it's something that most people experience, so they could connect with it. So I did have quite a sad but beautiful sort of response from the audience.
So even in that most dreadful situation of grief, there is some beauty to be found, perhaps over time.
Yeah, and I think the connection, like what I experienced with one of the stages, I had people submit what they would like to say to a lost one, and I found, even though all our situations were different, it resonated with me, and everyone sort of had a similar sort of feeling, and you're not alone in going through it. And I think that was the message that I was trying to portray, and I think, yeah, that did get across. So.
And the red, is that love or is that?
It was actually sort of pain, but it was more to do with like self-healing. So I do remove that bandage. So I bandage myself up to try and help myself heal, and then I remove it that I have sort of healed. But all the colours sort of, each performance was, they used the same colours, but they did have different meanings. So there was love. I have done the roses with red before, but I did this with yellow, yeah.
There's it's quite a beauty in the delicacy of what you've done as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
And isn't that interesting that I would never have thought of grief as something that is quite beautiful, but yeah, explained that way, it's lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Nicole, you're an art teacher, an art aficionado. I'm the classic, I don't know much about art, but I know what I like. What do you look for? What do you see in those images?
I was lucky enough to see this performance as well live, and I view it from two different personas, one as an artist and art critic, and also one as a friend. So, and from an art point of view, talking about that imperfection that I was looking at before, which, you know, creates beauty, and within that work, it's a beautiful piece because of the rawness, the authenticity, the sensitivity, and the symbolism, and that's how beauty is portrayed in contemporary art these days. The human body isn't just an object of beauty anymore, it's about the symbolism and emotion that you can create through that. As Marijke said, the audience was very heartfelt that evening, and I was one of those people that, you know, cried immensely throughout so many of the stages. And that part, not only from an art critic, but from as a friend, someone, or as a stranger, someone that can connect with the idea of grief, as it resurfaces, and the way in which you can, through that sensitivity and that authenticity that I mentioned, finding those ways to sort of to work through it, to feel it. Beauty is a feeling that you feel. It's an inner feeling. So
Through the ages, though, art has had a very different view of what is beautiful.
Very much.
What do you think is right?
And there is no right. there is no right, and it sounds like a cop-out, but it's. I think within art, you know, your oldest art forms of beauty were, you know, the portrayal of these fertility symbols and women which were voluptuous and pear-shaped and can usually be held within, you know, the hand. There's a closeness that you can attach to those objects of beauty, and even as that, you know, evolved into the early 20th century, you look at your artists such as Matisse and Gauguin, who always portrayed, you know, their wives, their loved ones, and to another person, another viewer, that is not their object of the perfect beauty. These women are beautiful only to the artist that's painting them because of that connection that they have, that feeling, and you can see that feeling in the way that it's painted expressively, emotionally, through aesthetics such as colour and shape, much more than when you're detached from the subject matter. So there's an attachment. Good art, beauty doesn't have to be good art, and good art isn't necessarily beautiful, but quite often the two will, you know, portray the same.
Okay, all right. I'm going to go to one of our junior artists over here. Christina Nguyen, who's in Year 11, has created an art piece. Christina, can you talk us through what it symbolises and what it signifies?
So I have created 7 charms, and this mechanism spins to show how everyone perceives beauty differently. The first one is a music note to show that how people would create music and share to each other what how they think beauty is them, and yeah.
And the next one?
The leaf symbolises, leaf is the most beautiful creation on this planet, and it gives us life and purpose in this world. A book communicates and shares our thoughts of our knowledge.
Of learning and of knowledge.
Yeah, of learning and knowledge, and for me, which is a silent language where we would share what is beautiful through our feeling, which we would share our feelings.
Yeah.
A paintbrush is art as a whole, where people would where people would create their own art and show what is beautiful to them.
Yeah.
A love heart is love and compassion from people. A camera, it metaphorically means like how we would capture important memories through our eyes and store it in our heads, and we'd share it like through people around us.
So it's not just on an iPhone.
Yep. Yeah.
It's in the iPhone between your ears.
And the last one is a star. I made a star because we are made of stardust. And this, I feel like for people, it's a common theme for people to like feel like people are like beautiful to them because they're just wonderful and they just give hope to the world. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty good. Christina, tell me, when you created that, when you had finished that piece, and congratulations on that piece, because that is really a pretty spectacular thing, how did you feel when it was done?
I guess a lot of stress just came off my chest because I didn't really know what to make at the start because I didn't know what, because I wanted to make something that would connect for everyone, and like it was just like just a bit of thought, and I had to like ask around. But after like creating what beauty is to everyone, and there's like different perspectives, I felt just relieved, really, because it's finished, but like happy at the same time because I'm just showing something that people would view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations, very nice, well done. Now, Natasha in year 11, you said that maths can be beautiful. Really?
To an extent, yeah. Or
Explain that for me.
So for me, I think beauty is really subjective. It's really like it's a personal feeling that comes from certain things you have connections to, as the adult panel has said. So for me, this actually happened recently, about 2 days ago. I was sitting in maths class. I was practically falling asleep at the start of the period. And then this really complicated maths equation on the board really nicely formed a simple solution. And for me, it was this aha moment that has happened quite a few times for me. And it's that connection that something so simplistic can really have, like, can create that feeling inside of you that's kind of hard to describe. The aha moment is probably the best way I can describe it. It's that feeling that we all have, we can't really explain, but we all have it. And I think as much as people say I'm weird for loving maths, I think that for me that's beautiful. And I think to other people, they have that thing that everyone's like, oh, that's kind of weird, I'm not sure how I like that. They find it beautiful, and I think there's beauty in that in itself.
Okay, so is it about the connection for you, or is it about the completion, or is it the elegance of the actual equation?
I think it's the ability for something so complicated to become something so simplistic. So just like society as a whole, it's so complicated, and being able to just like take a moment and to appreciate something really simplistic, I think that feeling that it's able to convey within you is really something quite beautiful.
Year 11, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah? Well done. Thank you. Olivia, can we define beauty without emotion? Do we have to feel it?
When somebody says the word beautiful, I often think of an aesthetic value, so something that is pleasing to the senses. But I know for a fact that the things that I find beautiful wouldn't be thought of as beautiful to every single person in this room. And so something that's pleasing to the senses becomes this completely subjective idea. But the fact that you or I have this concept of beauty and this common concept of what beauty is means that there must be some objective component to it. And we often see that in different cultures, where cultures tend to have this like common idea around what beauty is. So whilst we can't define beauty without emotion entirely, there does seem to be a dimension to it that is objective, and it is common to most, if not all, people.
Okay, so if you've got to have senses to be able to feel it, what does that mean if you can't see, or if you can't hear, or if you can't... What if you're missing one of those senses? Can you still appreciate beauty?
I actually thought about this when I first started thinking about my answer, because my first thought was something that we see and we find beautiful. And then I thought people who can't see and people who can't hear and also have this concept of beauty. So there is this deeply emotional aspect to it, and I think that's what makes it so individual, because our perception of the world is so different from everybody else's.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. Clare, in year 8, you think it's not, you said it's not a physical thing, but an intangible concept that we have put a name to. What do you mean by that?
By that, I mean, say, for instance, someone thought that a sunset was really beautiful or that a dog was really beautiful. That's a physical thing, but the feeling that they're feeling, which is what I define beauty as, it's not tangible and we can't touch it. And that's just where the emotional side comes in and connects with that. So it's also like part of connection, as everyone has said.
So when you see a beautiful sunset, how does that make you feel, and why is that a beautiful feeling?
The sunset just makes me feel relaxed, and that just, it's really beautiful because I don't relax a lot. And so it's just nice to just sit back for a while and just be calm for a bit, I guess.
And what else makes you feel, what else makes you feel like that then?
I guess just being around other people and building off of their like thoughts and connecting with them as well makes me feel more relaxed and at peace, I guess.
Yeah. Do you need to talk for that to happen?
Sometimes when you're just like sitting around someone you've known for a really long time and you already have a really strong, deep connection, it's okay to just sit and not talk and do nothing, and you're like calm there because you've already built a strong connection.
Okay. Nin, I'm going to come back to you, and this is a question without notice, but is that quiet silence between people, is that a thing of beauty as far as you're concerned?
Oh, absolutely. I would have thought it was very much a thing of beauty.
And is it that connection that it actually makes it beautiful? What makes it beautiful?
I suppose it's the connection between people. I think that that's one of the great sources of beauty, and the reason is because it's something we value. It's an ultimate value, is the connection that we develop with other people is what makes our life something we care about. It's what makes life worth living for us. So like I said earlier, beauty is the way that we recognise and express values. When that's something we really care about, recognising it is recognising the beauty in it. Yeah.
Great. Okay. We asked our junior school girls for their views on what was beautiful. Cast your eye to the big screen.
Hi, I'm Evangeline and I'm in Year 6. And beauty to me is what makes you feel good and puts a smile on your face. To me, beauty isn't about people's faces. It's about what they're like inside. Beauty contains of 5 things. It contains of what it smells like, feels like, tastes like, looks like, and sounds like. Real beauty is being woken up by a bird in the morning. Real beauty is being kind to people. Beauty is what makes you happy and feel good.
Hi, I'm Keevan and I'm in Year 6. Beauty to me is about 2 friends seeing each other for the first time in years, or the first note you play on your favourite instrument. Beauty isn't just pleasing to look at, it's amazing to feel.
Hi, my name is Rachel and I'm in Year 6. Beauty to me is not only what something looks like on the outside, but what you feel on the inside. Beauty is what you can smell, hear, taste, feel, and see that appeals to you. For me, it's my mum's perfume, a good song, chocolate, rose petals, and the sunset. But beauty is different for everyone.
Hi, I'm Violet Horgan and I'm in Year 6. I think beauty is lots of things. Beauty is a butterfly. Beauty is a bird in flight. Beauty is the ocean. Beauty is a helping hand. Beauty is a smile when you're feeling down. Beauty is the bush coming back to life after a fire. Beauty is the red earth of the Pilbara. Beauty is a candle flickering in the darkness. Beauty is the dewdrops on the grass on a misty morning. Beauty is nature. Beauty is love.
Okay, Nin, I read something, I'd love to say that it was on a highbrow intellectual article, but it was actually on Facebook the other night. And it said, when you are talking about little girls, or talking to little girls, that we shouldn't be talking about how pretty they look, that we should be talking about what they're doing. So tell me what you're doing at school. Tell me what you're learning. Tell me what you did in sport today. As a society, how much emphasis do we put on the pretty, particularly when we're talking about little girls, and what does that do?
Wow, that's a hard question. Well, parts of it are easy. the what does it do question is more difficult.
Excuse me.
So it's well attested to in numerous sociological studies that from a very early age we prime girls to respond to, you know, you're pretty, you're beautiful, you look lovely today, that's a lovely dress, I love your shoes. And we do something different with boys. You know, you're tough, you're strong, you're courageous, you're brave. So we from a very early age prime girls to think about their success in terms of how they look.
Okay, and what is the knock-on of that?
Well, I think for the women in the room, we know what the knock-on is, that we spend most of our life worried about how we look and feeling quite unhappy with the state of ourselves and feeling that we're never quite good enough and perfect enough, never pretty enough, never going to attain that beautiful perfection that's, you know, displayed before us in the media in all those areas. But I think that there's a fairly straightforward way to deal with this, and I think that my experience in the junior school at Perth College attests to it, and that's to talk to girls about things that aren't how they look and prime them in a different way to think about their successes, not to do with their appearance or their prettiness, but to do with how kind they are, how friendly they are, their achievements academically or in sporting fields and so on.
How did they respond?
How did the girls? Oh, look, the little girls.
And how little are we talking?
So I've done work with the girls in year 2 upwards. So I felt quite surplus to requirements, really, because they already knew all of the things I had to tell them about beauty. They know that it's not about how you look. It's about the things that you do and the achievements that you have and the relationships that you build and so on. So they're really onto it. Some of the conversations I had with the girls in high school were more worrying.
Okay.
But that's probably another story.
Where does being happy fit into that?
So that's the story.
Okay.
So I had some very interesting conversations with girls in year 9 and 10, and they were completely across the idea that, you know, there's a standard of beauty that's imposed on us, you know, a cultural standard. It's very perfectionist. There's an expectation that women at least make some effort towards achieving that standard of perfection of beauty. But then we got round to talking about plastic surgery, and there was uniform consensus with the idea that if you want to have plastic surgery because it will make you happy, then you should. And I don't have any problem with people wanting to have plastic surgery, but the idea that happiness is to be found in achieving a standard of beauty or perfection is highly problematic.
Okay, I'm going to go to Phoebe. Does that say then that the Kardashians are bad?
I think there's been like a consensus, like with everyone here, that obviously beauty is more than skin deep, and they've really like worked to themselves off the fact that they're beautiful and like because of plastic surgery or whatever. But I personally think there's a beauty in their entrepreneurish, I can't say that word, but like their businesswoman skills of being like, oh, we look a certain way, we can make ourselves look a certain way, and we're going to use these expectations that society puts on us and we're going to thrive from them. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of them, but like I think there's a beauty in doing that. And like I think that shows that there's more than the skin deep beauty. And like when there are young girls looking at them and aspiring to be like them, that's highly problematic and that's wrong. But if like girls can take a step back and aspire to be like them in a business sense, or like use themselves, like if, I don't know, like I think there's a beauty to what they've done, but we shouldn't look to be like them.
Okay. Girls, a show of hands, if I may. How many of you think that the business sense of the Kardashian clan is pretty cool? You're allowed to if you think. Put your hand up if you think it is. Okay. How many of you then admire them because they are beautiful? Yes, our work here is done. That's brilliant. Reverend Lisa, what does the Bible tell us about beauty?
It's a big question.
Just a little topic.
As I think about it, there's a theme I see throughout the Bible, and it's sort of a cycle. First, that we see in the very beginning of the Hebrew Scriptures, when we hear about creation, we hear that creation was made very good, and that God sees creation as wonderful. And in our, not just the creation of humans and the way that we are knit together, but also the creation of the natural beauty in the earth around us, and in the stars, and the way that things are set in motion, there is beauty.
And because God created those things, therefore the rest of us should actually know that they are beautiful.
Yeah, I think there's an invitation to see beauty beyond just, we've all talked about how this is beyond skin deep. I guess the cycle that I see in Scripture is that people, the earth around us, natural creation is made, and there are times when people rejoice at the beauty, but there's a lot of times when people forget or fail to see that what is around them is beautiful, that the relationships in their lives are beautiful, that the other human beings or the land around them, that there's wonderful creation and that is beautiful. I think when people forget about that, destruction happens. And you see that in the Scripture. You see war, right? But you see it also in our lives today. You see phobias. Xenophobia is, I think, all about us not seeing that the other is beautifully made.
Okay. Clare Hackett, are we seeing that, or how are we seeing that translating into our young people, not just our girls, more generally, I'm wondering. What sort of pressure is that putting on the rest of us?
I think the pressure, in a sense, are you talking about the destruction?
No, I mean of all this sort of influence or this sense that if things are not so, then they're not beautiful and therefore not worthy.
I think young people can get lost and look for the outer affirmations in order to feel okay. And so I think we're seeing anxiety, depression, a lack of a sense of belonging, because it's sort of like at some point we all have to do that inner work, and we all have to look internally and say, I accept myself as I am. And that if we're in a world where it says, well, you're okay if other people are saying you're okay, then we get a disconnection. And I think that disconnection, in a sense, is sort of contributes to our sense of not being okay. And I think, if maybe that's the key to us understanding that we are beautiful. We're beautiful. There's that inner beauty, and if you can tap into that, and it doesn't mean to be a swell head and go around like the Kardashians, so to speak, but it's sort of recognising that inner beauty in a form that may not necessarily be socially accepted out there, but it is something within that sits deep within you. I liken it to having that internal flame, and instead of that internal flame being a flicker because there's other people around saying, oh, you're no good at this, or you don't look like this, that there's a strong flame inside of all of us, and that it's burning bright, and that if we can connect with that, then I think that can be the antidote to all the pressure that's out there.
And that's why she's our school counsellor. She's beautiful, isn't she? Thank you, Clare. I want to go to Sophia. Does beauty come with baggage? What sort of negative connotations do you see?
Yeah, when I think about beauty, I think beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And what does this really mean to everyone and to me, I guess? Personally, I see beauty in I try to see beauty in everything. And I think that everything on earth no matter what it is beautiful to someone in some way, shape or form. And I think that that's especially applicable to people who, in my opinion, are some of the most beautiful creatures on the planet. Everyone has something in them that's beautiful. But I think that society and the media, especially in like our Western society, is having really negative impacts on people and what they see to be beautiful. And I think that it's bringing negative connotations to what beauty really means to people. Just today, in one of my classes, there was a girl sitting behind me talking to her friend about how she wanted to start a diet for the ball that we have coming up in 6 months, our Year 12 ball. And looking at her, I think that she was an incredibly beautiful person inside and out. And I couldn't fathom how she would want to change herself, because I thought she was beautiful just the way she was.
So hearing her say that, how did that make you feel?
It made me feel, I guess, confused at first, because I was like, wow, I wish I looked like her. Gosh, she doesn't need to do anything. She'd look stunning if she walked out in her school uniform. But then I really thought to myself, I was like, she is seeing herself as this imperfect image. And I don't think that that's because she sees herself as lesser. I think it's a lot of what the media and celebrities, I guess, like Kardashians and all the models that we see, especially for young teenage girls, we see this image and we expect to look like them. And the girls in movies that get the handsome guys are always the stick-thin models that are the all-rounders. And it's so hard it's impossible to create that. It is a facade. And I think that when you look within yourself and accept I am beautiful, everyone else is beautiful. And I think that it's that acceptance that is beauty itself.
Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, Sophia. Well done, very nice. Now, Isabella, when Reverend Lisa was talking about nature, and for you, nature is something that is very beautiful as well. Tell me about the beauty that you feel when you walk through the bush.
If you travel 4 hours south of Perth, you'll find the small town that I grew up in. It's very cold with massive trees and lots of farmers. So I was raised on a farm in the middle of nowhere, big trees, gullies, the bush. And my parents tried really hard not to impose the idea of beauty or intelligence, or, well, they did say that. They were like, be smart, do your homework. But also they didn't really say, oh, you are just so beautiful, you look so much better than Jane Doe down the road. Yeah. They never said anything like that. They always said, you know what?
Did they talk like that?
No. Hopefully they don't watch this later, but don't tell them. So I guess what they did do is they did say, you have a kind heart, and they'd take us for bushwalks, me and my siblings, all the time, and they'd say, what do you think of this around you? And I guess we kind of just developed the idea that, wow, this tree is cool. This is beautiful. And I guess it also helped that we were raised in the Christian family, that we went, wow, God made that good. So I guess the fact that I got to create my own idea of beauty does affect how I see other people, how I see myself. I mean, sometimes I do fall in those traps like, wow, I wish I looked like her. But then when I step back and I go, whoa, that's a lie, really. Yeah. Like, I need to go for a walk. I need to see what my parents told me to find and what I found in my God, I guess.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Isabella. Taylor is in Year 8, and Taylor, you also see beauty in nature, but you also see it in simple things like the way that someone laughs. Tell me about that.
Yes, so I believe that beauty is more of a perception or someone's perspective on life. And I think what's really beautiful is the fact that everyone has a different perspective on life, and so no one thinks in the same way as anyone else. So personally, I find the sound of laughter beautiful because it brings memories forward of times when I felt the same way, and it just makes people feel truly happy, which is a beautiful sight.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Ellen is in year 10. Ellen, you said that beauty can actually represent your values. Can you explain that for me?
Yeah, so I think which was kind of touched on by a few people, when you find something beautiful, there is that feeling inside and you have a connection with it, and you aspire to be like it, whether, and even if it is a place or an object, you aspire to hold similar values. And I think those values really are a representation of yourself. So in that way, like was hinted at over there as well, I think that what you find beautiful really is a representation of you, and maybe therefore you are beauty and beauty is you.
Wow, love it. Love it, love it. Well done, thank you. Emily, is beauty static or does it change? And if it does, how does it evolve?
I believe beauty is an ever-changing idea, and that we as a society have constantly changed beauty through time based on our beliefs, values, status, and our environment.
Mm-hmm.
As an indicator, a few years back, we described as beautiful to be a stick-thin person, but back in the Middle Ages, it was beautiful to, even recently, it was beautiful to be plump and a bit, not fat.
Voluptuous.
Voluptuous.
Generous.
Thank you.
They're the words we like, aren't they?
As a sign of your wealth.
People who
and
eat
status.
cake, we like them.
As a sign of status, and that you didn't have to work and you were able to feed yourself, and that was thought as beautiful. So it's changed dramatically, and I think it will be forever changing.
So in the past, it might have been how much you could eat. It showed how prosperous you were. These days, it's how much you can't eat, but what you can wear, yeah? Yeah. What have we become, honestly? Taylor, how does travel fit into this? Because I don't know about many of the parents out there. I think there's a lot of beauty in travel.
Yeah, so I looked at defining beauty as something that inspires you, fulfills you, makes you feel happy, and brings a sense of peace. And because I've travelled quite a bit, I've been to places like Dubai, Singapore, and they have completely different cultures to some place like America or Australia. And I find beauty in the fact that a place like Australia can include all these different cultures and perceptions of life, some of them completely contrasting. And I just think that small bit of inner peace with everybody around us is very beautiful.
Love it. Okay, now Molly, you went on the Cambodia Odyssey, which is one of those life-changing operations that happens here at Perth College. How did that change your idea of beauty? Because you saw a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so before I went on the tour, I kind of saw beauty in the aesthetic value of like a beautiful flower or, I don't know, like a beautiful animal or something. But the tour really changed that for me. I began to see the beauty in people and the connections between people, as like a lot of people have been saying. But what was really beautiful about that for me was that I formed quite a few connections with some of the people I met over there, and it was beautiful because they're from such a different culture, such a different background, and I found it amazing that we could find so much in common and yet be so different.
Brilliant. Now, it would be remiss of me not to ask Elizabeth this question because we are in a place of learning. What is it about knowledge that you find beautiful?
Well, I find knowledge beautiful in the sense that people can learn in all different ways. And I mean, we're here tonight and we're all learning about the philosophy of what is beauty. But the fact that people have such passion for what they're learning and what they discover, it's something that you really can't replicate. I know for me that simply being able to talk amongst people who also like philosophy and discussing these kinds of topics, I find it deeply enthralling. And I take beauty in that feeling of, connection is what everybody else has been saying, where there is such a feeling of belonging in a society that usually tries to push others out of, well, a group.
Fabulous. I love the fact that you love it. I think there's something very beautiful about that. Mila, I'm going to end with you, and I think you quite beautifully bring things back to where we began. You said that it's about love when nothing seems crowded. What do you mean by that?
So I think really, I agree with everyone here and what they all said, and I think really beauty is, well, I think I see it in a lot of things, but most recently I've seen it like in love, when love finds you, or when you find it. And I think that it reminds you that sometimes you just have to trust the universe and trust things, and things are better to be, I think everything happens for a reason really, and you have to trust things and yourself. And I think that it's beautiful connections, what everyone's been talking about. I think it's nice when you find someone, anyone, even your sister, your mum, your friends, when you find room in yourself for them and they have room inside their heart and inside themselves for you. And I think that I keep reminding myself recently that no matter what happens or how hard things get, school stress, I mean, you have a test the next day, I just remind myself I've got a heart that beats, I've got eyes that work, I'm fine, and I love people when they love me, and that's really what matters. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that tonight has given you some pause for thought. I said at the beginning that I'm so in awe of our girls. I don't know about you, but some of those thoughts were just beautiful. So thank you, ladies. Thank you very much to our adult panellists as well. And thank you to you for being so involved in our fabulous school. Girls, well done. I think all of you have done a beautiful job. Well done.